All right. If everybody could get seated, or I should say get standing, we'll start by singing O Heavenly King. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, Amen. Well, welcome everybody, and it is just an immense pleasure and a joy for me to welcome my dear friend and my brother from Uganda, Father Simon. Father Simon was the last born of 6 siblings, and Father Simon was born on the 19th of August, 1986. And there's a funny story about his birthday. You should ask him about it afterwards if he doesn't talk about it during his presentation. And was raised by his subsistence farmer parents. I'm going to mess the name up. How do I say it? Laminadera, their ancestral village in the rural Labora sub-county of Amuro district. He was brought up in a large traditional home, living with half-brothers, sisters, cousins, uncles, aunts, and several extended relatives. His father had married 3 wives, and his mother was the second wife. Growing up traditionally was a good experience, but resources were always scarce, and his family scrambled to put food on the table. Nevertheless, they lived as one strong, united family. They tilled the land together, hunted birds and wild animals as pastime activities with his village mates, made burnt bricks for sale, took care of the goats, and reared chickens. They swam in fresh rivers, ate wild berries, and enjoyed the Wengu, evening fire, so much. Am I saying it right? Wengu? Wengu is an open wood fire lit at night in the middle of the compound of the homestead, around which everybody, young and old, assembles after the formal supper. Here the elders tell stories, Kodo Odoro? How do I say? What he said, Kodo Ododo, and relay history, culture, lore, and anecdotes around the fire. And one day, as Father Simon sat by the fire, he dozed off and swung his right arm into the glowing fire, leaving a permanent scar on his arm to this day. Simon enjoyed his mother's delicious cooking so much, to the extent that sometimes he would miss school, especially when his favorite meal was being cooked. At the age of 6, the same year that the Northern Uganda insurgency had also marked 6 years, young Simon joined Atide Primary School together with his village mates. He trekked barefoot a total distance of 7 kilometers every day, from Monday to Friday, to a school where lunch was unheard of, and several surviving landmines, abduction, and ferocious tropical snakes lay in his path. The Civil War changed life in his village dramatically, plunging many displaced families into poverty. One fateful morning in June of 1996, then an 11-year-old Simon and his older siblings, in the company of other innocent school-going children, were joyfully walking to school when LRA rebels suddenly attacked and pounced on the children as they scattered in disarray. In the ensuing confusion, the rebels opened fire and shot indiscriminately. 2 of Simon's siblings were brutally murdered. The bullets hit and shattered their heads, killing them on the dirt of the Marham Road. And as the two lifeless bodies lay on the road, two of Simon's half-brothers were not lucky either. They were abducted and taken into captivity to serve as child soldiers. Simon's small stature and quiet demeanor saved him that day. The rebels thought him to be a sickly as well as weakling child, traits they despised. So traumatized by this horrific ordeal, young Simon traced his way back to his father's compound and delivered the tragic news to his already distraught parents. Immediately after the improvised funeral for his late siblings, Simon left the village without saying goodbye and moved to Gulu town, also known as New City, where he lived with 3 different relatives at the time. Town life brought even more unprecedented challenges. Refugee camps and urban slums with massive cultural deterioration. HIV and AIDS spread like wildfire in the camps, as did alcoholism, depression. Children grew up with less supervision and fewer cultural traditions. As well, domestic violence increased, and the role of elders and traditional leaders was sidelined. We endured the humiliation, the stress, and mental anguish associated with town life, Father Simon reminisced. The Civil War and hostilities ceased in 2006. And by 2008, most displaced families resettled back in their ancestral villages or in town. Many children were born after the war ended, and many who were older, through their resilience, put the war behind them. Determined to continue his education, Simon, through the support of a benefactor, was taken to Boyeli in Kiryandogo district, where after competition of his primary education, was enrolled at Boyeli High School, where he completed his O-level high school exams, and he performed well. He did menial labor at people's farms and gardens during school breaks and weekends to make ends meet. The generous support from his church helped him complete his A-level at Chua Tu Memorial College. Namangona, Kampala, where he studied history, economics, geography, and fine arts. While at the same school, Simon honed his leadership skills. He served as a prefect in charge of religious affairs. He then enrolled at Gulu University and earned a bachelor's in education. Upon graduation, Simon served for 4 years as a head teacher at Archangel Michael Orthodox Secondary School, where he demonstrated unmatched success and raised a high bar, so high, that the standards were just renowned at the school. Along with his dedicated teams of teaching staff, he made sure the young school was licensed and accredited by the Ministry of Education and Sports, with an examination center in its name, hence allowing candidates who were in their final years to sit for national examinations with confidence. The students' enrollment also exponentially increased from 115 students to 600 students by the time Father Simon left the school. As Simon was pondering his next moves, a friend of his from the USA, named Sue Nelson, a prominent missionary to Uganda, who had met a younger Simon in 2008 and subsequently sponsored his undergraduate education at Gulu University, connected Father Simon to a graduate scholarship. And he was admitted to St. Vladimir's Orthodox Theological Seminary's Master of Divinity program, where he met me, and I met him, and he graduated in 2019 as an ordained priest. While at the seminary, Father Simon struck a lasting friendship with the seminary president, Reverend Father Chad Hatfield, who later visited Simon in Uganda and graced his wedding. As Providence would have it, a few weeks after Simon had returned to Uganda, his father passed away after a long illness battling acute high blood pressure. And at the same time, the COVID lockdowns in Uganda were also imposed. Nevertheless, Father Simon's dreams never faded away. Instead, the tragedies bolstered him. Father Simon kept alive the dreams he had developed while on a seminary mission visit to Central America and Guatemala, organized by his newfound friend, the Reverend Father Chad. While there, Father Simon witnessed firsthand how the people of Guatemala use whatever little resources they have in their possession to sufficiently develop their villages. And so with a burning desire in his heart, full of ideas, Father Simon hit the ground running. With financial assistance from his networks in the USA, he mobilized like-minded youth in Akaloniak village and began initiating youth-led community projects such as brick-making, communal farming, beekeeping, raising pigs, and income-generating activities. Hence the birth of the Northern Uganda Self-Sufficiency Project as a community-based organization began. Father Simon, the little boy who once survived the LRA kidnap, is now a teacher, a role model, a mentor, a priest, and a family man with 3 children of his own and a loving wife. Father Simon has continued to extend his helping hands to his extended families, the orphans and vulnerable children, and the Achilleanek community at large. In addition to his pastoral responsibilities, Father Simon serves as the executive director of the Northern Uganda Self-Sufficiency Project. So Father Simon, it's with a joyful heart that on behalf of our parish and our community here in Warren, I just want to welcome you with warm hearts and open ears. So come on up and let's hear what Father Simon has to say to us.
She told me that I was born during the second planting season, when people plant crops in the second season of the year. So second planting season of the year in Uganda is August. And she told me that when I was born, it was time for her to start weeding the first crops. So the first crop was weeded in either the second week of August or the third week. So I had all the opportunity to choose the day I wanted. But I don't know when I was born, but then I chose August 19. Maybe I was born on a day like today. I don't know. But I chose my birthday. Second thing I want to say is, the worst thing in this world that a world can go to, a country can experience for its people is war. Is war. I was born in 1986 and I grew up through the war, and I know what war is. Every families in my communities have the effect of the war in their lives. If not physically, where their ears are cut off, their nose are cut off, their mouths are cut off, or their legs are cut off from the landmines, then psychologically, and they are not okay. We have the effect everywhere. When I returned in 2018, I will have to say again one thing. One day I was serving a liturgy under the mango tree, and a young boy got up in my community, because that community was the home of where the rebel leader was living. He started running around us. Because we were serving a liturgy under a mango tree, two big mango trees. And I had to leave the liturgy and get the incense and censer and go after him and started praying. It took us about 15 minutes. We prayed until he sat down. And then we brought him to the altar, close to the altar. And that boy became our altar boy up to now. So the worst thing a country can experience is war. So now, coming to this PowerPoint, this is where I am from. I come from a small town called Gulu in northern part of Uganda. You cross the Nile to go to the north. We have the source of the Nile in Uganda, which runs to Egypt. So when you cross the Nile, you are in northern part of Uganda, and that little place shows where Uganda is. And this is Gulu, my hometown. We have one international airport in the capital city, which is 6 hours away from us. So when I fly out and I fly back, that now I'm going back home, I'll fly to Entebbe International Airport and then take a bus to go to Gulu, which will take me 6 hours using the bus. And we have Lake Victoria is one of the freshwater body. Actually, I think it's the third biggest lake in the world, and it's a freshwater body. River Nile is the largest river in the world. It's the longest rivers in the world. So that is where I come from. This is my life. You can see our family is there. And then that is our sibling, and those are young boys who were abducted and trained to become soldiers. The rebel leader was abducting children from the age of 10, and if the child is a boy, would be made a soldier. If she's a girl, would be made the wife of the rebels. It was a very tragic life. That is me growing up making bricks. I grew up making bricks to pay school fees, to go to school fees, and to provide some money for the family to survive. That is our family. We are doing farming, and I'm there in the green jacket, and with my mom and the sibling from my two late brothers who were killed by the rebels. And here I went to stay with the relatives. I moved from one relative, and I was able to study. So here I was staying with the parents of these children. But what is different about me, I was always wearing necktie. So you can see me there wearing a necktie, and there wearing a necktie when I was a head teacher. So here I got opportunity to go to study in the capital city where the metropolis is. And I became a religious leaders prefect, and that is where I was swearing in. And here, you cannot believe this, I was receiving my certification after serving as the religious leaders prefect. And this is, some of you may know him, is Peter Georges. He's a person from Ohio, awarding me the certificate. So that is me as the head teacher. And when I was the head teacher, I used to play soccer with the children. And I get out and play soccer. We work with the parents. We develop the school. It was a lot of work. I would leave my house at 6 and come back at 9 p.m. After setting students, after reading, completing their prep, they go back to their dormitory to sleep, and then we go home on a motorcycle. So life was not easy. It was around between this time and this time. That's when I became Orthodox. I used to love watching Christian movies. And one day I went into a Christian movie room, and I found a Roman Catholic priest was seated at the door, and then he pulled me from the line and gave me a small piece of paper saying, "I chose you before you were born." And I started meditating on that. I still have the paper up to now. I started meditating on that, and that kind of like helped me to stay in the church and love God. But from childhood, I wanted to become a Roman Catholic priest. I wanted to serve the church. So when I moved to live with another relative, there was no Roman Catholic church in the area. It was only Orthodox church. But because I was used to the church, I started going to the Orthodox church. And I started helping the priest, cleaning around the church, serving in the church, and eventually he took my name to a Greek doctor who was sponsoring children in Uganda during the war. And then I was taken up for the church scholarship. And then I was able to move from Gulu to Kampala, to the capital city, and I became a religious leaders prefect in the school, and I became Orthodox. So eventually, after graduating from that school, I went to Gulu University and I became the head teacher. Even before my graduation, already Archbishop sent me to become the head teacher of this high school. So that is shortly my life. And this is Sue Nelson, who came to Uganda in 2008, and I was organizing mission trips, OCMC mission trip in Uganda, and where they would serve in the communities, and I was helping, volunteering also to translate. So we met with Sue Nelson, and I became her translator, and she supported me through Gulu University, and eventually I became a person who gained strength, because there was somebody behind me and behind my future, and I started loving America. And here I was translating for the team, and that relationship eventually led me to sit in the plane for the first time to come to America for seminary. So there's me and Sue who flew to Uganda to get me to come to US in the plane. When I came to America, I started making friends. That is Father Aaron, whom I'm going to visit in 2 days, and that is Father Christopher Moore, whom I visited 2 days ago. And this is me and Father Christopher, and that is me and Father John Bear. I started learning the American life. I became a cowboy in America. Started wearing cowboy hat with a t-shirt saying, "Life is too short not to be an Orthodox." Yeah, coming from my hometown, eating that type of food and walking on those roads and enjoying the wonderful sunshines in Uganda, which is hot during the dry season, I came and started eating this food. It was hard for me to get used to, but I got used to most of the food. I didn't have stomach problem. And started walking in the road and sitting in the car and driving on this kind of road, not that kind of road. And from hot to snow. So these are Father Brian's children who are playing and making snowball at the seminary with them. You can now see yourself here, I told you. So there we are, and I started learning, and I was assimilated to start supporting American football, you can see, and then serving in the kitchen, reading in the libraries, serving in the chapel. But all this was forming us to be who we are right now, to serve in communities and in churches and minister to other people and learn more about Christ together with the parishioners and in the churches. And then eventually I was ordained by Archbishop Jonah, who passed on recently. And then all what we learned from the seminary helped us now to start our mission, blessing homes, praying for the people, visiting the hospital and praying for people in the hospital, the sick people, and then doing baptism. So, when I went back in 2019, we went and got a land which is between two rivers. This land was a home for the rebel leader Joseph Kony. And under the two big mango tree, there was a spot that was cemented. So that was a sign that he was living there. When people returned back home in 2008, after the peace agreement was signed, they collected 2 sacks of bullets in that area. When we went there, they showed us bombs that got stuck on the trees. And there were a lot of landmines that were plotted, and they allocated they spotted the area, and they couldn't go there to farm. So we coordinated with the government official, and then all these were removed, and that started bringing hope to the people. We started teaching people in this community. This community is in the middle of nowhere. It has no access to anything. No hospital, no any health facilities, nothing. Bad road, no school, no drinking water, no clean drinking water. People drink from the river. We started working with the people, gathering the people and teaching them basic things. And we started our church in a very basic way, using the children books to teach the people who is God, who is Christ, why should you love one another, why should you go to church, why should we pray. And I identified some youth who knew how to read and write, so I would give them books because I went with my books from the seminary, and also so many people gave me books. So I would assign these boys some readings for a week. When they read, I ask them to translate it. When they translate it into the local language, then on Sundays I give them 10 minutes to teach the people. Then I guide them. And this material, not only did it help us to do the teaching, but it was translated, and we now have translated material into the local language. So we started doing that for 6-7 months. We come on Sunday and just sit under the mango tree and learn. Nothing else. Sit, learn, for 6-7 months. So eventually we had the material to do the service. We had people learn the service, and then we started with doing Orthodox service first. And then eventually we started doing liturgy in this community. And now, with all this, COVID came, and after COVID, we almost started all over again because people forgot. People knew a lot of things, but we needed them to keep carrying on with what we already taught them and not to forget. So last year, we had to do a baptism of 125 people. It was the first kind in my country that on one day, 125 people were baptized in the river. This year again, we baptized 33 more people. So the community is growing. People have hope. So this land that we bought, we give plots, portions of land to families, mostly widows in this community and the vulnerable. We give them plots of land that they can farm. When they farm, they give 10% of what they get from the field, the production, to the church. This 10%, we have a committee in the church. The committee takes it to the market. They sell it and make money. This money, they bring it to the church, and it is what we are using to buy candles, to buy wine, to buy yeast, to buy flour, and we are doing liturgy every Sunday in this community. The 90%, they use it for their medical attention, buying clothes, new clothes and shoes for Christmas, and having food, buy meat at least once in a while, because it is not uncommon to eat meat 4 times in a year in Uganda in the villages. So now we are encouraging people to grow even vegetables and to keep chicken in their home so they can supplement their diet. So we are trying to teach the people how to do agriculture and also move away from the subsistence method of farming because of the climate change now. The weather is changing. So we teach the people to wait for the rain to plant the crops, but not plant the crop thinking that this is the month that we have been planting the crops, and these are the dates that we have been planting the crops for the rest of our lives. No. The weather have changed. So we are teaching the people that. Father Chad made a visit to Uganda and is here with the priest. And then we had a group of seminarians who also came to Uganda on a mission trip. And we led the team with Father Christopher Moore to Uganda, and we moved to our communities. And that was in the same time when we had also medical team that Sue put together. And then we were able to work together with the seminarian. The seminarian would teach people in the community, and then the medical team would come and treat the people in the communities. So here you can see a group of seminarians teaching the people before the clinic started under the trees. And here Father Chad is in the school where I was the head teacher, and he put a chicken to sleep. Nobody knew what he did. What magic he did, but he put a chicken to sleep on the ground, and students were amazed. We didn't know what he did, and he's here showing. So that was Father Chad's visit. I had also opportunity to go to Guatemala. In Guatemala, I saw when cars were passing along the road, the dogs would bark at the cars. I saw 3 species that we have in Uganda in Guatemala. I saw people holding hoes on their shoulders to go to their farm and dig with their hands. And then that is what they use to support their families, to support their church. So I said, there is something I can copy from here. And then I copied that, and we are trying now to duplicate it in my country, in Uganda, to have a self-sufficiency initiative so that people can work. People in my community, in northern Uganda generally, were placed in internally displaced camps. And those who did not go to the camp on time, many of them did not make it in life. Those who did not have places to rent in town to live, They did not make it in life, and that include my brothers, because my parents were so poor they couldn't rent in town. So two of my brothers were killed. But then, people were put in the camps, and they are so lazy. People are used to free things, from the World Food, from the UNICEF, who were giving aid supplies to the people in the camps. And when people return back home now in their villages, including this community that I went, we said there should be something done so that we can start changing the lives of the people. Because there are youth who were born in the camps. They did not study, they just wake up and sit, and they started even using drugs now. So they are getting married now. Their children are also not going to school. So to me, this was a ticking bomb that will one time blast, and northern Uganda will go into war again. Then we said there must be something done. And we registered this Northern Uganda Self-Sufficiency that has the board, and one of my board members is the district chairperson. I have accountant on the board. We have a bank account. I have somebody who graduated from Gulu University with bachelor degree in agriculture, who is helping us set up everything in agriculture. And I have somebody who knows the business. So when we grow crops, we have production. He finds the market for us. He found the market for us for many things. And then I'm also on the board, and we have a lawyer on the board. So if there is anything that concerns law, the lawyer will go. Concern medical, the medical person will go. Education, like that. So you can see them in the t-shirts, and that is our logo, and we sit together to make decision, to plan what should we do. And you can see our joy. So Northern Uganda is in Northern Uganda Self-Sufficiency is in a Cholinyak village. That's where we are operating now. We registered as a community-based organization with the government, and we have license, and we pay taxes every year. We randomly chose auditors to come and audit our financial report. And we always chose from the capital city. Person we don't know, we ask people to nominate, and then the person come and audit our work. So we are operating. Our vision is we prioritize education, because this generation who were born in the camp and now they are producing their children, and all of them are uneducated. This would be dangerous for the community. So we bring these youth together, and they make bricks. They play soccer, and we call them to come to the church. And they are now changing their lives, and they feel like they are part of one another's story, and they are part of the church. So we also enhance livelihood and assist vulnerable people. You can see we are blessing some food items. During COVID, somebody donated money, and we bought food items, because the lockdown was the first experience in our lives. We didn't know how to deal with it. People go to the farm and get their crops, and get their food and come to the house and cook. But then there was lockdown. Some people had their farms very far away. You couldn't get out of your house. We don't have a market or refrigerator. We don't have it. We don't have electricity in the house, no running water. You cannot store the food, so you go on a daily basis and get your food. But we established community where now we have these widows and people in the community come together and dance and sing and work together in the farms and support the church. And our mission is really to break this vicious cycle of poverty through involving everyone in the community to work, to do the work themselves, and not to depend on donations. Because we saw UNICEF are no longer there. They are there, but they don't do much. World Food. So they only come in the time of crisis. And we need to get established and do things ourselves. And that is why we return. So these youth, we bring them together. You can see me taking pictures with them. We give them food. They make bricks. So that is me teaching them how to make big bricks in the middle with the bricks making mold, and we made all these bricks. All these bricks, we use it to build a clinic in my community because there's no health facilities. Since 2019, I know of 3 people who lost their lives, pregnant mothers. 2 lost their lives because it was raining in the night and they needed to get out of that village and walk 33 kilometers on the bad road, and they couldn't make it. So we said we have to make bricks and build a clinic. So we made the bricks. We started working on the wall. Too much rain, the wall collapsed several times, but people were resilient. Women would go and bring water on their heads from the river, and men would be making the bricks with the youth together, and we built a wall and we built a clinic in this community. The clinic is helping beyond, I don't know how to explain how the clinic is helping that community. In the 5 months of the operation of the clinic, it has handled over 2,000 cases of malaria, typhoid, and ulcers. We have a full-time nurse who sits in the clinic and teach the people. She's very creative. She makes small sheet of paper with drawing and give to people who comes from communities where there is no drinking water, safe drinking water, and drawing with like, if you get water from the river, you need to boil it, and the water that you want to use to wash clothes or wash utensils, you cannot boil it. But the one you want to drink, you first boil it. So she gathered like 15 people on a day, teach them, and then when another 15 people come, see, just basic thing. And we built her house next to the clinic, and now she's handling all these cases in the village. The clinic is serving over 10 villages. There are government hospitals, but when you go to the government hospital, they prescribe for you the medicine, and you need to go and buy it from the pharmacy. But pharmacy is like 33 kilometers from this community. Nobody can go. So some people decide just to stay. And it is very dangerous with malaria. My boy Demetrius, who is 6 years old, has malaria right now. My daughter, when I came here, they told me, they sent me a message, my daughter had malaria and typhoid. Because she goes to a school that does not have safe and clean drinking water. So she got the malaria from there. But my community has safe and clean drinking water. So you can see this group of women seated under the mango tree, we established a village saving credit union. So from what they made from the 90% of the production from the farm, they were able to bring some money together, little money, and we made them a metallic box, so with a strong padlock. So when they bring money, they sit together. Most of these are widows. So they write down how much money each person have given in a week, and they keep it in that box. So at the end of the year, they open the box and distribute the money, and this is the money they use to buy meat on Christmas, new clothes, new shoes, and also use it for medical attention and sending their children to school, because education is not free in Uganda. You have to pay in order to go to school. NUSSB has supported about 35 children in my community to go to school. But we have over 70 children in the community. We could only afford to support 35 to go to school. And takes $80 to sponsor, to pay a tuition for a year. But with requirement, it takes $125. So you see these women from the credit, the village saving credit union, it is very, you will not see, but there is a metallic box that those two ladies are opening. It is actually open. So from that, they have now small little capital in their hands, and some of them are now going to start doing business. They buy sugar cane and put it on their heads and take it to a nearby trading center and sell it, and that is how they are now making their money that they got from last year's saving multiply. And that's how they are now helping and supporting themselves in this community. Our background about the war and how the atrocities, so many people were affected. It is heartbreaking to even talk about it sometimes, to go and see the schools where there were schools destroyed, churches were not functional, people left the villages, and now they're going back and getting started with life, but then they do not know what to do. Their parents are old, they cannot teach the young youth how to farm, how to do things. So there are a lot of issues with land wrangles and a lot of things happening. And small things. NUSSP, my organization, with my team, we are trying to do something small at a time and then changing the lives. And God is blessing our work, and we are so thankful to God, and we want to learn Him more and pray to Him. These are our core values. And you can see these are women in our communities. When we first got to these communities, nobody would come to us because they were like, what are they doing here? They only know the people who live in that community, and they know they have their own problems and nobody can save them from it. But then we change their stories. Now, when visitors come, they kneel on the ground and scroll to come and give you a hug. So people are so welcoming, people are so hopeful, and people see that they are now working, they are now able to send their children to school, and they are able to have food, and they are able to have meat, keep chicken, grow vegetables, come to church. So there is hope. So our approaches, we are approaching this self-sufficiency in many ways. The first way is educating the children in the community. And we have supported 35 already to go to school. We are planning next year to start a school under the mango tree. Under this mango tree, before I go to that, we started our church under the mango tree. We were praying under the mango tree. And eventually we built a temporary church building. And then later we built the real church building, a big church building. And we made all the bricks from the community. So people were working and they built the wall and they did every work they did it themselves. So now what is lacking in this in the community is school, because over 70 children comes to church with me on Sundays, and some of them their parents cannot afford to send them to school. So they are growing just like their parents. They don't have any education initiative in their lives, and this would be dangerous in future. So we would get started under the mango tree and hire a teacher to come and teach the children under the mango tree, and they will learn. Children who do not have writing materials in my country, they write on the ground, on the floor. So they will start writing on the floor. This kind of children you are seeing, they are from my community. And this is the student who graduated from Gulu University with a bachelor degree in agriculture, and he's working on our board. So a person like this, when he goes and talks to these children and encourage them, we hope that it will make the children love school and would concentrate and study. Plus also, if assuming we had a school already in my community, like the cases of my daughter having malaria and typhoid would not exist, because we have a clinic that treats the malaria and typhoid, and we also have a safe and clean drinking water. So this would change lives in so many ways. Our intention also about education is not only just having this kindergarten that we plan to start, but we want to have education center in this community. And this education center would include preparatory levels, nursery section, and then primary section, which is elementary, and then high school. Then we want to, in future, this is just in future, we are going to start under the elementary and move slowly by slowly. And then in future, it would be good for this community to have a training institute. So this training institute, these youth who are in the community and they were born in internally displaced camps would go to this training institute and they would learn maybe how to repair a motorcycle. And then they could start under the trees in the village or in the trading center, start repairing motorcycles, start repairing bicycles, and they would earn a living. And also, their wives could learn how to sew, like sewing clothes, and they would earn a living. And then that way, their life would not be the same. And their children would have opportunity to go to the kindergarten section in this learning center that we pray for in future to have it in this community. But these are pictures from my high school. When I was the head teacher, we won a trophy. And my school represented the whole of northern Uganda in the Coca-Cola Championship. And that is how people started knowing about orthodoxy. Because a young school, 5 years old, beating a school that has existed for 100 years old, and winning a trophy and representing the whole northern Uganda, people got to find out, where is this school from? And it is from the Orthodox. So this is ours, me and the student, I was holding that trophy. And this is a student in our classroom. And this student in the wheelchair, she's called Scovia. All the schools in the district rejected her because of the way she is. They didn't have the facilities to have this student learn in the school, like to use a bathroom. They didn't have the facility, and they couldn't take her. When the parents brought her to my office, the parents were crying with tears. I also cried for her, but I didn't know what to do because we didn't also have the facility. But I said, okay, you first go home, let me talk to the board, because in this school we form a board, we form a foundation body, which include the priest, we form a parent teachers association, so we were all working together. When I came, we set up bank account for PTA separate, school separate, and for other activities separate. And then, after weeks, they called me and I said, okay, you bring her. I talked to the board and we constructed a small one room attached to the main toilet, and then she became our student. So every evening when other students are playing soccer, I get her out and then we move along the soccer field and watch other students play soccer. She was my favorite student. So this is the winning the cup. This was the celebration when I was in So this is the national stadium. These are our students who are celebrating. And you can see they are lifting up the great future. They lifted me up too. And I found that I was right, so it was easier for them to lift me even higher. But that is the celebration and the joy. So this is what I was talking about. Our children, many parents do not even afford to buy pens and pencils. So their children write on the ground. And you can see this girl is drawing, and this is my wife, Stella, doing sewing. She learned how to sew, and that is the wife of the priest who sent me to the seminary, teaching her how to learn how to sew. So she would be able to sew clothes and support the family. So this is what we want in this community, and people would be able to support themselves so they can move away from things like this. Women going to farm in the morning with their husband and children, and on the way back, women have to get firewood, put it on their head with the child on the back, bring the firewood home, put it aside, go and bring the water on the head, 20 liters, in the house, start cooking, while the men are seated under the mango tree. So this pains me to see how and what women go through in this area and in many communities, what they go through. So my heart is there with them to do something so that they become self-supportive and also support the whole family. When I was the head teacher, I had a theme in our school, and the theme was educate a girl, educate a nation. And we had more students in our school who were girl students than the boys. And the government had to award us because of that, because no school ever did that. Young girls are always encouraged by their parents to get married right at the age of 13, 14, because the person marrying them will pay a bride price. It's like selling the girl to get money, to get animals, and it will become wealth for this family to send a boy child to school. So they encourage more so for a boy to study than a girl, which is very wrong. So we had more girls in our school than boys. The church ministry, we bring people together, we share Christ together, we learn together the mystery of Christ through gathering together, and we started under this mango tree and celebrated liturgy. And under the mango tree there was a lot of sheep that also came to church by them, because it was open. They come to church when we are celebrating liturgy, and they're there lying down, and we don't chase them away. Eventually we built this temporary church, and this is how we were teaching them. I was teaching them the icon. This is icon of Christ. This is icon of Theotokos, and explaining to them. And Bishop visited us in this community so many times. Whenever he comes to our community, he always say, I need to move the cathedral to be here. We say, we are far away from the town and our road is so bad. So maybe you start with the road, because how would the visitors come here? So I have a joke that I always tell people. The potholes on the road to this community is really bad. It's bad potholes, and it's deep. So I tell people, if you come with a small car to Uganda, you drive to Uganda with a small car, you go through these potholes, go very fast. Don't stop. If you stop, people would bring the dirt and cover your car. And they will thank you for building for them a bridge. So that is the size of the potholes on the road to my community. It's really different. It takes me 1.5 hours to get to my community, but I'm only 33 kilometers away. But it takes me 1.5 hours to get there. And I have a good car. I have a Land Cruiser that can go through these potholes. but I go slow so that I can get out. So I leave my house at 6 every day on Sunday and come back at 5 p.m. with my family. Because after church, we go under the mango tree and people bring things from their field, from their farm, and then we share, we eat. And it is a whole day coffee hour under the mango tree. So, Bishop, there we did the baptism last year, 125 this year, 33 more, and eventually you can see that line. Those are children in my community. When I'm giving communion, I need to bear like this for long and give them communion. Then I get up and start the adult. So there are many children in the community, and we built that church. It is the first church in Uganda with a dome on the roof. And now people started saying, oh, Orthodox Church actually have a beautiful church like this. And people now appreciate and respect the Orthodox Church. We do agribusiness, biodiversity, livelihood, and food security. We mind so much about the environment. The climate change is really affecting our country, all over the world anyway. So now people do not get the rainy season in the time that they expected. This year the first rain came in May, yet it was supposed to come in March. And some people went ahead and planted crops. They didn't know. So they had to redo their garden. So that's why also in future, we think something like having agricultural institute in the community would help to teach the people to move away from the subsistence farming and start using also modern technology like the use of fertilizers, use of irrigation, and not only do the agribusiness but also do agri-technology. So they can go and learn from the institute and come and practice it. Because right now they don't know. When you tell someone, don't plant your crop before the first rain, they say, no, we have done this for years. And this is how it is. And then it's a little bit hard. So we need them to get training in the local language in a kind of well-set environment. But you can see we have our rice field there, and we were blessed that we got a tractor that is helping so much. So this land that we are plowing is 43 acres, and most of it we give to the people in the community. And there are a lot of tree trunk in the land still that needed to be removed. So what we do is, this tractor is going and plowing other people's land. And people in the community, their fields are plowed and they only pay for the gas. They don't pay to plow their field, that they only pay for the gas and pay the operator, the tractor operator. So for the tractor, the money that is making, we hired 30 acres of land and we planted corn. So this money from the tractor would help us to get started with the school, to get scholastic material, and to hire a teacher to start a school under the mango tree next year. So we are harvesting the maize in December. That's when we shall harvest. The first season, the weather was not good. We got still production from the field, and we were able to build a house for the nurse to live near the health clinic. And we built a toilet for the clinic. And we sponsored 2 children out of that money to go to school. So the tractor is helping in so many ways. Talking of agriculture, we planted sunflower also, and we are now keeping pigs. We have piglets in our farm, and it is very exciting to see our piglets growing. 2 days ago, they sent me a video that they are growing so fast. I said, this is what I want to hear. This is what my ear wants to hear. So we are so excited for our pig farm. Our pig farm just started, but we are aiming to empower the widows using these pig farms. So what we shall do is to raise these piglets. When we raise them, they will have more piglets. When they have more piglets, we shall give each widow a piglet. So they will raise it, they will fatten it. When they fatten the pigs, our person, the contact person in the board, who represent the business, would find market where we bought the pigs from, the piglets from, and they will sell these piglets, the pigs from these women, and we shall give all the money to these women to help them support themselves in the community. So this is what we are planning. Maybe we shall do, depending on how many piglets we shall get, maybe do 15, 20, and then next time 15, 20, next time 15, 20. And we are not going to limit. It's not going to be only Orthodox people, but people in the community. And eventually we want to do this kind of support, like giving the piglet to our Orthodox churches. So we shall send this person representing agriculture to teach the people. Right now the widows are getting the training how to keep pigs from our men who represent agriculture. So they are learning. So this is the pig. I want you to see the pigs moving in our pig pen. Yeah. So this is our piglets in the pig pen. They are very healthy. We bought medication for them. We bought water pump to pump water from the river using a pipe to their rooms, and we have drums to store the water, so they suck the water from the wall. They don't have to go out. And nobody enters here. We want to fence around the pig farm so that we don't have cases with the swine fever that will kill our piglets. So these are our piglets, and they're growing. So pray for us and pray for our pig farm. This is our health program. Is one of the strategies that we enforce, and that is the small clinic you see. That building, it has a small space for testing, and the nurse would do the testing. She would write, she would register the people, and the cases that she cannot handle, we refer those cases. And we had people who could not even go to the hospital because they didn't have transportation. So we support those people, and some of them are so old, they don't have somebody to take care of them. I remember one situation, they called me and I said, you call somebody to take them to town, we shall pay the transportation to the hospital in town, to the government hospital. So that is how we are transporting. We transported our medication, and we brought it to the clinic. And sometimes people who are very weak, we help them, bring them to the clinic, and they get treatment. So I normally go to the clinic and bless people, pray with the people. We have a bed. We have a space where we store our medicine. And you can see that young boy is the one who represents our agricultural section. And we bought for him a motorcycle in July to keep going to the community and watch the pigs. We have a pig keeper. We build a house for the pig keeper, and then the pig keeper stays very close to the pig farm and watch the pig farm. But these guys still go there with the motorcycle to check how things are going. So people are so worried in many places. They get crowded in when there is a private health center in a place. It gets very crowded. So all the private health facilities are overwhelmed. Because as I said, you go to a government hospital, they tell you we don't have the medicine, but we can prescribe for you. So they need to go and buy from the pharmacy, and many people do not have the money to buy all the prescription. In our community, what we did for the clinic, we asked people to give a little fee so that it can help us to keep restocking the medicine, the medication in this health clinic that we build. And it is very subsidized. It is amount that people can really afford. If it is so high, we give the treatment, we write it down. When they farm, because they live there, so the 90% of what they get from the field, when they sell, they come and pay off our bill. So people have been cooperating that way. Water and hygiene. We were blessed that we had a fund to drill 5 water wells in 5 different villages. There is a government policy of putting 1 water well in 1 sub-county, and 1 sub-county would have like 10 villages. So it is not enough, and people cannot walk, like if the water well is here, to walk like 2 kilometers to bring the water into the house on the head. You see this pregnant woman walking, that is one of our 5 water wells that we build, and it is ever crowded that way because people feel, and it is the place with the good and clean water. Many of the families in the communities drink from the river. And these are the rivers that young boys swim in, the animals come and drink the water from, and people still come and drink the same water. So this year we were blessed. We drilled 5 water wells. We work with the government and with the connection from the chairperson who is on our board. So we commission the water well to the people in the community. We gave it to them. They form a committee. So that committee would be getting less than $1 per household every month, and then they use the water. So this money they are saving. So when the water well breaks with time, they will connect with the government official and call their mechanics to come and assess. When they assess what is needed, they will use this money to buy the spares. So we are not coming back to repair these water wells. It is their responsibility. You can see what I was talking about. I stood one day, that is where we do our baptism actually. I stood one day there, and these ladies came and they were drinking the same water. The boys were up swimming, and then the animals also came from the other side and they were drinking the same water. And whether you're young or you're old, you have to get your own water from where the water place is, whether a river or water well, and bring it home on the head. So you see that little girl bringing water. And some people collect water from the stream. The water that collects in the hole, people get it. And there are a lot of running water from the rain during rainy season, and it goes and fills the stream, but people still drink it. You can see, this is the water well that we built. I went to all these water well, we blessed it. People planted trees, logs around the water well to protect it. So it is only one person who goes to pump the water well at a time. And then they pump the water well and everybody is happy. So this is how we drink the water well. This is the real machine for the water well. And they are so deep, 60 meters plus. So the water will not run out, and it will serve the large population in the community. In the community, also in the clinic, we have a space for a library, and we are encouraging people, the young boys, young girls, to go and read. So they go there and get the books and read, and the nurse gives them the books to read. I always make a joke and say, when you're coming to Africa, do not worry where you're going to keep your money. It's a very safe place to keep your money. Keep it between the books. Nobody will open it. Because we don't read. So people don't have the reading culture. After the mission work, we send people out for excursion. We go and see the source of the Nile. We go to Masison Fall and see the animals. We have the big five in Uganda. Hippos, a buffalo, giraffe, lion, elephant. I don't want to count alligators because that would make it 6. So we always go for excursion, and this was the team of the seminarians and the medical team together. We went to the park and we went to the fall and we saw the animals. So when you cross the bridge, you will be welcomed by the baboons to northern Uganda. They will climb on your windowsill and they advise you to close the windowsill because they would always want to give you high five if you don't close. So this is a trip to Gulu, and these are hippos, the buffaloes, the elephant, the giraffe. This is typical African toilets and the bathrooms. So when you go to villages, this is what you will expect. Of course, there's no running water, so there's no way to have like a modern toilet. At the seminary, I wanted to teach the seminarian's wife how to dance like that. They said, Father Simon, we cannot. That was nice. So, that is our stories. We are so happy to have now a community and to be a community that is uniting, that is changing the lives of the people in this area. So many people are very happy now. They feel like they have the church, they are working, they have food to feed their families, they have their children being taught in the church and are reading in our library. And these children comes every week at church on Saturdays. So on Saturday, all the children comes to church. So what they did the first time, they planted the grass on our compound. It is the children that planted the grass. So now every Saturday, they come to pick the unwanted weeds that are growing where the grasses are. And they love it. After that, they play soccer together, and sometimes I join them, we play soccer together and then go back home. But we are so happy, and I'm here to ask for your prayers and love, and please come to Uganda and see and visit us and go through the pothole really fast if you make it with your car. But it is very safe now in northern Uganda. There is no war going on. People feel secure. Northern Uganda is growing. It's growing. Actually, there are so many people who are moving to the north because the land is very fertile for agriculture. Northern Uganda is in the center where the businessman goes to Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo, and Kenya, and South Sudan. And we have a lot of refugees from South Sudan that are in northern Uganda right now. So when Sue and the mission teams come, I take them to a good hotel. There's good hotels in town with electricity, internet, good food. They cook Western food and they have menu. And they have hot water, they have steam bath, they sauna, It's very safe for people who come. The only problem is you have to get a malaria shot before you can come and take pills to avoid you, to protect you from the malaria because it is very dangerous. There is treatment for malaria, but somebody can get it over and over and over because once the mosquito bites you, you get it. But the typhoid is from drinking the unclean water. So I will say thank you very much for listening to my worst English, and I was happy to share with you our lives and experience and the work that we are doing, and please keep us and keep our work in your prayers. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Father Simon. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to have a potluck. We got a potluck. I know it's getting late, but we have food. Father Simon brought Ugandan beans. They are really good.
Please try.
I snuck a little spoonful whenever I put it on. I had to. It's so good. So we'll head on over to the social hall, and then while we're eating or after Father Simon eats, maybe people could ask Father Simon some questions too. And thank you all so much again